So welcome to episode 16 of Dusty. It's finally bodywork time. Now I've got the tub in here. I'm going to get this done first so I can put this on the car and have it driving. Then that'll be good. But there's all the rust in the floor here. It's got to be stripped for painting. All the rust has got to be fixed. All this horrible sound deadening that's from the factory inside has got to be taken out. There's all rust along the front. So we have to get into doing this. There's all rust down there. Rust in the floor. Surface rust everywhere else. All the floors got to be taken out. There's all rust up the front. All rust in the top along there. And then it's got to be stripped and it's got to be painted. So it's probably a few episodes in this. But I'm going to get started stripping it down now. So the 40s came out with this sound deadening just on the floor pans, nowhere else really. But I want to get that off because it's starting to rust underneath and it's not very pretty and it's got to be painted and cleaned up. So there's a few ways you can get it off. It's not the easiest of things, but dry ice is usually the best. It freezes it and it just pops off. But otherwise you just smash it with a hammer. I've got a chisel. I've found you have to kind of chisel around a square or something and then you can smack it off from there. Makes it a bit easier. So it's on the floor here. The other side was actually pretty easy to get off. I don't think this side's going to be the same. But I've got a chisel and I'm just going to kind of chisel a square out, or try to at least. So that's after a few minutes. Just gets back down to bare metal or primed, whatever that is. Sort of comes off in chips like that. And it's pretty brittle really. You can just break it off. You've got to go up the firewall there, all into that corner. It's done a bit of the work for me. It's all rusted, so I'm just going to keep chipping away at this. So after quite a decent amount of time, we've got the sound deadening off. Now there's still a bit of leftover residue, but that's going to have to come off anyway later when we strip it. Found all this rust through the seam. I had a feeling, you could see, well, you could see that bit, but it's just eaten away, so we're going to have to cut out till there. Other than that, it's not too bad. All the rust stopped right where it was. That's come up from the bottom, so you can see some light through there. That's we've got to repair all that, but we're not going to get into the rust today. I'm going to just strip some of the sideboards and pull the fuel filler neck and stuff like that. So to get the step off, there's 5 12mm bolts under here. Just undo those and it'll just pull off pretty easy. And there's the side steps gone. Took both off, so we'll give these a clean up when the time comes, and makes it easy to get to everything else as well. So now I've got the filler neck here. I'll just take the cap off and undo the screws. So now there's 3 10mm bolts there, and that loosens the plate and the rubber, and it'll all come out at once. So now the kick vents can come out. Now they've just got a bit of a spring in there. That's not too hard, you just pop that out. And then they've got a pin, which this one's already up a bit. You just pull the pin out. And they come out that easy. So now I've got a few things to take off, like the heater taps and some of these heat shields under here. There's a few around the back. The fuel tank straps up the back there, and the fuel breathers. Got to take all that apart. These straps, the fuel breathers, and then that'll pretty much be the whole body stripped.
Feelings and worries. The free your crew app. Every team should have it.
So now that I've stripped the body from everything, I'm going to go around with a wire brush and just take all the surface rust that I can find off. Just see what that's like, give a few taps with a hammer and a screwdriver, see if I can go through any of it, but just try and find what's around. So after a decent amount of grinding and getting away the paint and all the bog, this is what we're left with. Now it's on both sides, and you can see the repair before. They've cut out a piece, smashed the paneling, put it underneath, and that's rusted as well. So we're pretty much going to have to cut a big square out there, cut a square out of this bit here to get rid of that, and the inside, the floor has all gone. Going to have to rebuild all the body mount where that is, so there's a bit of work in this corner. So because it's all through the back there, we have to remove pretty much that side through there and that side through there. and it's gone down through there. So we're going to make a piece that's going to come about across down there, and then it's going to go out from there, so we don't have to build a massive square. So this is what we got from that. Got a decent chunk out of here now. There's still a bit of support, so it hasn't just flopped away. There's all rust through there. Gonna have to rebuild that body mount, where it mounts to the chassis body, and then all that's got to be taken out as well. So there's still quite a bit of work in this. So this is my bit of a drawer up here. Top and bottom's good, and that has to come along. There's no rust above that, and then the rust kind of eats its way into there, so it goes up. You can see that through that hole there. You can see inshine torch. So I'm going to cut that bit out now, cut along there, and see what else we have to do. So now we have taken a piece out of the floor that was rusted out. I didn't go over the top of the ridge, I took it right beside it. Not a very straight cut, but now it has to be taken out through there. A lot in there, a little bit there. So there's just some little fiddly bits that we have to take out now. So now the first panel I've made is this supporting bracket that goes onto the body mount. It's a little bit too thin, but it's the only metal I have to do it. That'll sit there, and it'll give somewhere to spot weld the actual floor to. So I've got my angle gauge here, and what I've done is I've got the angle in line with where the floor pan ends there and on the side here. So that's pretty much the angle we need to have the fold over there to meet up with that. So if we bring it over to this, I'll stick it on the edge there, and then I can trace a line up to my 200mm mark, which will get me to the end of the panel which goes into the floor. Yeah, so I'll cut that out and show you what I mean. So that's about how it's going to sit. You can see it covers all that up. I've managed to cut myself a bit short on material there, but that's the piece that is going to pretty much sit under that. So it's been cut down a fair bit. That's all we got left from that big sheet. I cut it out in a big sheet so I could just work around from there instead of having to measure it out. That sits. It's not perfect, but it's definitely going to fill it in. There's going to be not much. I don't reckon I'll need any bog in this bit. It's going to be under the floor anyway. You're not going to see it. So I'm going to have to clean up the edges, and then I'm going to tack it in. So there it is. Needs a little bit more cleaning up. I've ground all the welds off. I'm about to do underneath, but that's the new piece of the flooring, not rusted out. Goes through there as well. So it's much better than it was. So I've skipped a few things, and I've made the panels up for there. I'll put some supports and panels on the inside, but I thought I'd show this bit because it's a little bit tricky, but this is what's meant to look good, and this is where all the filler's going to be. So that's going to sit in there, but it has to have a fold, 2 folds to sit inside this channel there. So other than that fold there, it's a pretty easy piece. Now because I don't have a brake or anything to properly bend this, I've just got a bit of 25 by 25 clamped onto the table with a piece of metal in between, and I'm going to smack it over. So that's not horrible, bit of a clean up. We'll clean it on the edge of a dolly and just finish it over, but that isn't too bad. So there's the fold that I've done. It's not perfect, but it's not too bad. It sits in there, so it sits in there nicely, and then I've traced on the back side there the shape of that. So we're going to cut that out, slip that in there, trim around the edges and make it fit nicely. So here's the panel I've cut out. I've trimmed the edges up a bit, and I've put a bend under here so it matches up with the rest of the panel. So here we are. I've skipped past all the grinding part and the rest of the welding, but this is all welded up now. All the inside panels are welded up. We've got a piece through there, got a piece in the corner there. This pillar there has been remade, floor piece, support underneath and another floor piece there. That's all going to get covered with sound deadening, so you're not going to see that. It's not really important, but it's all good. There is about as much flex as the other side, which is not much at all, but I'm pretty happy with how this has turned out. A little bit of filler over the top and it'll be good as new. So now this is probably the second hardest bit of the repair. This bit took probably a good week on and off working. This bit probably won't take too long, but it's about 300 mil. I'm gonna have to cut out, I don't know, 50, 80 mil wide. So I'm gonna cut along the top there. I'm gonna cut along kind of the panel there, cut all that out, cut that lip out, and then make that lip and then make a panel to slide underneath. So there's the rust cut out. There's a few pitted bits, but it's not gone through and it's thick enough to weld onto. But here's my patch panel that I made. I bent it over and it sits in there nicely. So I'm going to tack that in and then make one up to go in there. I've done the floor pan in there. It's a bit of a rough job, but you're not going to see it. Needs a bit more cleaning up. I've done the floor pan there. That's got about that piece there, that piece through there. So that's got quite a few pieces. It's got a few pieces around the back there. It all needs to have a bit of seam sealer in there. But other than that, this is done. Needs a hole for the body mount. The outside's done. It's got some supports on the back there. But I'm not going to put any body filler on it yet. I'm going to wait till everything else is done on the tub. And I'll put it all on at once.